Sanctuary cities defy Trump's deportation efforts and sues the administration. Now, this is a suggestion via Discord. Let's jump into it, guys. Let's check it out. Let's see where this takes us.
Today, we are announcing the Roosevelt Hotel, which served as both our asylum arrival center and a humanitarian emergency response and relief center for nearly 2 years, will be closing in the coming months.
Okay. A rare win for sanity in New York City.
This is a big deal, guys.
The infamous Roosevelt Hotel, illegal Migrant Central, is set to kick out its last border-crashing guests in the coming months. The century-old hotel has held more than 170,000 migrants since it became a shelter in May 2023. Joe, we have to start with you on this, of course, but there's a lot of, news. I think the most disgusting, New York is getting its house in order, but
Absolutely.
You look out west to Los Angeles.
They are not.
And you have law enforcement sources telling Fox that there are these activists who are revealing the identities of ICE officials.
Yeah, guys, I definitely heard this a couple of times now. Now, for the individuals that are like specifically revealing information like this sounds treasonous. All right, it feels like it, guys. I mean, like you're actively working against the federal government, moderately public. It feels like treason. It may not classify as treason. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and point out it feels like treason, though.
Name, phone number, trying to basically get them killed because these activists don't want. They think illegals, the law should be broken and illegals should be here.
If you want to show everyone you're a coward, dox them. Reveal their home address, reveal where their family lives, because that's what this is. This is a threat against these officers' family. If you don't have the facts and wherewithal to convince the American public, to convince the legislature that your ideas on illegal immigration are great, that's fine. That's a democracy. You're allowed to try, and you fail. You don't dox.
Yeah, guys, they definitely do not care about the concept of fact. They care that it hurts their feelings.
Immigration are great. That's fine. That's a democracy. You're allowed to try, and you fail. You don't dox people. But what we're seeing here in New York City, by the way, is the opposite. We are seeing some welcome signs. We are seeing cooperation with Mayor Adams, the NYPD, our Department of Corrections, and ICE. And that really is the cause of why New York is able to reduce some of these hotels. It starts at the border, right? Promises made, promises kept. President Trump, Tom Homan, et cetera, the whole team, they dropped the number of border crossings from 2,000 a day to 200 a day. Those folks are not coming to New York anymore because the gravy train is no longer here. That's why Adams is in this position. I'm glad he's seen the light over the last 6, 7, 8 months on the migrant crisis. It's costing us $6 billion, $7 billion almost per year. That's money that could have went to cutting the grass in the park. It could have went to a new, basketball gym at some of the local high schools.
You're right. Something that benefits the American citizens.
Right. So it's a welcome change, but it would not have happened but for the change at the top in the White House.
But you've got a city council, and you know this better. You've got a city council in New York that is not on board with anything Adams is doing, right? So there's things Adams can do in concert with Tom Homan. But my point is you have these deep-rooted local governing bodies, and Boston's a terrible example of this, right? Boston is basically the anti-Homan right now, okay? You know local politics. As a New Yorker, I'm like, how the heck is that ever going to change? Because if it doesn't, you can't get deep enough into the system to really go after the folks who know how to game the system.
Well, two things to that.
And that's what's happening here.
First of all, Eric Adams is restricted by state and federal, and city law. Right? He has to care for these people. Unfortunately, it's gone through the court system. It looks like Eric Adams has to care for people that show up on our doorstep. Whether he has to encourage them anymore, thankfully, he's not doing that. On the flip side, I think it was yesterday or Friday, the city council had a hearing on how we give more services to transgender migrants in our shelter system. That's the priority of the city council. It's not, hey, we tried this, it didn't work out, maybe let's change paths. It's actually, let's double down on this woke, illegal immigration programs, even though we can see the writing on the wall that the New York public, the American public is no longer on board with this. They're still doubling down.
Why? That's my question, because I thought the election would have opened up their eyes, that we don't double down, you go with public opinion.
Because the elections that matter.
Yeah, because guys, hold on. I hear what he's saying here, guys. But the problem is that New York is still going to be New York, right? I mean, there are obviously pockets of places that are just honestly sick and tired of being sick and tired of the migrant crisis and some of the criminality that has come with the migrant crisis. Right? But New York is definitely still New York. Okay. The popular opinion in New York is that they're a sanctuary city, moderately a sanctuary state, and they're going to consistently and continuously do this to their own detriment, right? But all right.
Up their eyes that we don't double down. You go with public opinion.
Because the elections that matter for New York City Council and state legislative seats in the city are all the Democratic primaries, and it becomes just a fight for the far left. That's all it is. Until New York adopts what most other cities actually have as nonpartisan elections, you're going to see the same type of people get elected to the same offices with the same agendas, on and so on, until that changes.
I always call it
It's not going to change, not New York.
Power pyramid of adversity. The higher up you are, it's why the left wing embraces illegal immigrants over legal migrants, over naturalized citizens, over anyone residing here legally. And so on the power pyramid of adversity, legal migrants, and then you're above an illegal migrant if you're a trans illegal migrant. Again, at the top.
Oh, I see what you did here. Okay.
It's just that was never dismantled. That is still kind of the cornerstone of the left.
It's the victim Olympics, basically, is what she's trying to say here, guys, but in a very long-winded manner. Whoever has the most victimhood, let's say, they're at the top of the charts here, guys.
Wing universe, and it will take a lot to get rid of it, and it will come back, and they will try to make that the centerpiece of our universe here in the United States. I want to move on to what's happening. You mentioned Boston.
Yeah.
But what Massachusetts has done, and I keep repeating this because it's just so absolutely grotesque, but what Bill Malugin has pointed out, Massachusetts is the only state that frequently releases illegal aliens who are charged with aggravated child rape, and they refuse to cooperate with ICE on detainer requests for them. That these individuals, these elected leaders in the state and in places like Boston, like the mayor, they will side with a child who is in this country illegally over protecting children and families who are legal residents of their state and city. That's where we are. Until the people rise up and vote them out, it will never change.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easier case to make when someone's arrested for smoking a joint. Maybe they shouldn't be deported, right? But when you come to these individual cases where people are doing the most heinous and violent crimes, I noticed that you never actually see the Democrats come and speak on the record about why so-and-so needs to be let out, why so-and-so shouldn't be prosecuted. Right. I think we should start holding them more accountable. If you said something stupid on the floor of the Massachusetts legislature about protecting this class of people, I would hope the local journalist would follow up with you, then so-and-so is released from prison that day, and ask them whether it was worth it, whether their kids are safer, whether the kids in that neighborhood are safer.
Yeah, the problem is that what I've noticed, at least, like a lot with the left, at least, is that whenever someone does something absolutely terrifying, they look at the trauma in that person's life that caused them to do this. So they're like, they did this because of something that happened 35 years ago in their life, right? So that's what made them this. So this is why they then are doing this. Bro, that's not acceptable, okay? There have been a lot of people who have gone through a lot of terrible things in their lifetime, and they've gotten through these terrible things in their lifetime, and guess what they're not out here doing, bro? Terrible things, okay? But all right.
Quick, just on the doom loop aspect of this, because what you're talking about in Massachusetts is similar to the problems that we have here. Adams is doing what he can, but at the end of the day, if we don't vote out this council, if we don't think about a new mayor, if we don't make serious changes, but anybody with half a brain and a pocketbook that was able to flew to greener pastures and went to a red state somewhere where they save money and they're treated better. So at the end of the day, the only people that are left here are the ones who keep voting for this.
I said it all the time.
Because
I lose more Republican voters as the Republican leader here. I lose more Republican voters to Ron DeSantis than any Republican candidates we have.
So like, guys, I grew up in New York. right? So like growing up in New York, there is only one other place that is even like moderately acceptable to a New Yorker, and it's going to be Florida. So, and no matter what, by the time you hit about 45, 50, you're running down there anyway, guys, right? I mean, that's just the reality of like growing up in New York. You know, like we have words named for them, like, snowbirds, right? These are the people, New Yorkers, who age out basically, and they're just like, you know what we're gonna do? I'm sick of this cold weather and snow, nor'easters and lake effect snow and all this other craziness, right? Blizzards. I'm gonna go down to this to Hurricane Alley, basically, and crocodiles, alligators, right? That's what they do. They all do that. They all do that. Doesn't surprise me. And I definitely would not call anywhere else greener pastures, right? Specifically coming from New York. Like, I'm out of New York, right? But for a New Yorker, the average New Yorker, I want you to understand, like, if you guys don't know, or if you never like experienced like someone who actually is from there type of thing, we don't really like growing up, at least. My whole mindset has changed, but putting myself in that situation, nothing outside of New York City matters, or Long Island. Like New York City, Long Island, not upstate New York, that's irrelevant to us. That's basically Canada, right? But what I want you to know, okay, is nothing matters to a New Yorker outside of New York. Like if it was to go away tomorrow, not many New Yorkers will care. Right? And that's just like that insular nature that kind of happens when you kind of grow up in New York, in this city, or on Long Island, guys. It is what it is. The average New Yorker, truthfully, does not care that deeply about anything outside of New York. Yeah. So they vote for things, right, that only that make them feel better. Okay. So when the woman said greener pastures, it's interesting because it's not greener pastures to the average New Yorker. It's not. It's the country. Okay. Like anywhere outside of, I'm telling you guys, anywhere outside of New York is a country. We don't care at all. It doesn't matter. New Jersey, country. Okay. Philadelphia, that's a country. Right. I'm telling you, that's just how it is. So it's really hard to convince New Yorkers that something matters that's not affecting them. So I want to go ahead and commend the governor of Texas for forcing, let's say, New Yorkers to actually understand what the border looked like. Because I'm telling you, they don't care. And I think he also knew that, the governor of Texas. Hence the reason why he was like, you know what? Don't worry, guys. We're going to go ahead and send you a couple 100,000 people. Right? The reality of the situation. But either way, they're not going to stop voting this way. Obviously, there are definitely pockets like in New York, on Long Island, definitely upstate New York, Canada, right? Where you will run into people who are definitely against the concept of this. But again, New York is New York City is such a powerhouse in. How about this? Let's call it Manhattan, guys. Manhattan is such a powerhouse in New York, right? That there's just no way the rest of the state can even keep up or defeat any of the nonsense that they're spewing. That's the reality of that city, guys. All right. But, all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. The fact that you just made it to the end of the video says a whole lot, actually. We have a couple other channels. MrLboyd Music, MrLboyd Movie Reacts, along with MrLboyd Discusses, where I just generally speak about the things that specifically matter to me. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.